Aloha! Welcome to Departures to Alpha Centauri, sponsored by the United Galactic Federation of Planets. My name is Merlin, and I'll be your tour guide tonight. This is our 14th program, live program tonight. This is UGFP 4.14, and it's entitled 11th Month. As you notice at the bottom, this is January 21st. Well, there's an event coming at the end of this year, on December 21st, 2012, on the winter solstice, in which the Earth is going to stop rotating counterclockwise and begin rotating clockwise. It will be a catastrophic event. It has been predicted by a dozen civilizations in the past, and we must be out of here by then. And there is a plan to evacuate all 7 billion humans from this planet. Tonight's program involves an answer to a question from the last live program. On December 10th of 2011, one of the callers to this program asked me the source of my information, my wife's and my information. I will share that with you tonight. Over the last 13 years, we have received enormous amounts of information from many different beings and entities. In tonight's case, we're going to look at a document that was produced 9 years ago in spring of 2003 by a very familiar name. I'm going to switch you over to our little side camera here. This talks about the 11 months from January 21st, 2012 to December 21st, 2012. It's 11 months. And 12/21/2012 is the date for the reversal of direction of rotation for the planet Earth. We must be out of here by then. In June of 2003, my wife, our 2 granddaughters, and I went to Washington, D.C., and we passed out 335 of these booklets. Now, this booklet is called The Story. It's 64 pages that was produced in spring of 2003 by the Lord Jehovah, creator of heaven and earth. And I was the one who was fortunate enough to translate and edit all of this in May of 2003. Now, some of you may be a little leery of how this occurred. It was done by automatic writing, in which I would sit down at a computer, put my hands on the keyboard, close my eyes, and start writing. And this is an amazing document. It has some very curious things to say. Now, there are some items that I'm going to tell you about. You're going to see words in parentheses. Those have been added for clarity. You will also see words in bold print. Those were the words that were dictated to me by automatic writing. Those are the words of Lord Jehovah. Other words that are not in bold print are taken from either the scriptures, from the Bible. We have 80 different verses taken from the Bible. These are all biblical references. It's part of the table of contents. Plus many other sources, including Buddha, Confucius, the Torah, the Quran, and many others. So let's get started. Now I'm going to use a pen to help show you where we are, and then I'll read along as we go. The Lord is my hope, I will not fear. He is a garland on my head, and I will not be moved. Should everything else shake, I stand firm. It is visible things, if visible things perish, I will not die, for the Lord is with me, and I am with him. This comes from the Odes of Solomon. Now let me also remind you folks at this point, if you noticed, I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt today, and this is a level 1 program. Now you're going to hear many references to God, but at the same time, this is a historical document. This document was given to 335 members of Congress in June of 2003. This was passed out a week after our former president, George W. Bush, declared on board an aircraft carrier off San Diego, mission accomplished. Well, we went to Congress right after that and passed out these booklets. Now, as many of you know, all through history, empires have risen and fallen. We are now at a time where we all have to be out of here, regardless, by 11 months from now. The purpose of this booklet was to put the United States on notice. And in 2003, the ruling party of the United States were the Republicans. Republicans held the House and the Senate. So 335 copies of this booklet were passed out. The next line is, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up." That's from 2 Peter 3:10. Here's Jehovah speaking now. "I am not an evil God, but a loving God. I love my people with all my heart. But the time has come for all of you to leave this planet. A sinister force has been at work for more than 100 years, draining the eternal memories from many of my people. The vital learning they gained from their experiences in your world are now being lost. All of your missions to this physical world are in serious jeopardy, so I must transition all of you to the world of spirit soon. You are not to know the time of my coming, though, for then you would fail to support each other and starve. The Lord is not slow in doing what he promised, the way some people understand slowness. But God is being patient toward you. He does not want anyone to be lost, but he wants all people to change their hearts and lives." That's from 2 Peter 3:9. "I am thinking of a good way to explain your pending transition back into this spiritual world, which is where you came from. It may sound painful, but it's not. And in brackets, it may be painful to those who defy me, close brackets. It's like a flower opening up to the light. The pushing up of the flower through the earth's surface is arduous and frustrating, but the flower's reward upon bursting forth into the sunlight is magnificent. Your journey through the coming apocalypse will also be arduous and frustrating, but your bursting forth into my light will be truly wondrous and enormously uplifting. But by the same word, the present heavens and earth have been stored up, reserved, for fire, being kept until the day of judgment and destruction of the ungodly people. There will be losses. It frustrates me that some of the members of your human life stream have become so hardened to this physical world that they believe in nothing but themselves. These non-believers will be given many chances to change their ways in the coming days, but in the end, if they're still self-centered and defiant, they will perish. It will be a very sad time, because many devoted entities have labored over them for millions of years to help them see the light, but to no avail. So as the wolf thins out the caribou herd of the feeble and injured, so will the apocalypse thin out your human life stream of the unworthy. First, I want to remind you that in the last days there will come scoffers who will do every wrong they can think of and laugh at the truth. That is from 2 Peter 3:3. They are to be ignored. Hold fast in your beliefs. Misery loves company. Don't join them. We now move over to page 13, and we continue. I am the Lord Jehovah, creator of heaven and earth. Your world is mine. I make the decisions. You live by them. It's always been that way. It will always be that way. You have no veto power over me. Basically, I'm the boss. You may even call me that if it feels right. I like being called the boss. It makes me feel important. Just kidding. I'm beginning to sound like George Burns, aren't I? One of my delightful creations. Back to business. Your world is in a lot of trouble. You've had a lot to do with it. I can't say that I'm sorry for a lot of you because I let you have all the choices. You remember the old axiom, quote, if you make the bed, you sleep in it, unquote? Well, look at the fine mess you've gotten yourselves into. Now I'm beginning to sound like Oliver Hardy, another grand creation. Boy, I'm good at comedy, aren't I? Isn't it nice to know you've got a creator with a fine sense of humor? That's what's supposed to make this world go round. Love and laughter. That's really all you need. All you need is love. Dum, da, dum, da, dum. John Lennon, right? Good guess. Another incredible creation along with his friends. What do you call them? The crickets? They really were almost as popular as my son that I sent down to you a couple thousand years ago. At least their message had a more catchy delivery. So many messengers, so little time. Oh my, we try and we try. If only you guys would just wake up. Stop killing each other. Start loving each other. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. That's what this world was made to be about. Pure love. Hugging and kissing and pats on the back. Be glad to be alive. Love every day and everyone in it. This world of yours is a very special place, and you're really going to miss it. Trust me. Remember, I'm the boss. But now we've got to get back to the business at hand, and I'm sorry to say it's deadly serious. Then he said to me, these words are faithful and true. The Lord, the God of the spirits of the prophets, has sent his angel to show his servants what must quickly take place. I, John, saw and heard all these things and fell down to worship the angel who showed them to me. But again he said, no, don't do anything like that. I too am a servant of Jesus, as you are, and as your brothers the prophets are, as well as all those who heed the truth stated in this book. Worship God alone. These are from Revelation chapter 22, verse 6, 8, and 9. Jehovah is back now. There is only one Jehovah, me. All the other gods are aspects of me. In fact, you're also from me. You are my children. I am your parent. You and the other gods possess a little, quote, spark, unquote, of me. You might say, quote, genetically, unquote. I don't really want you to worship me. No parent would want their children to worship them. I just want you to love me. In fact, all you have to know in order to survive the coming days are 3 little words. I love God. I'll hear you. Guaranteed. And now we move to another page. Page 18. The idea that atheism is related to materialism may seem strange to some, but perhaps we can explain by pointing out that the surest way to lose sight of the higher realities is to fasten one's attention to the things of the earth. One forgets the truth that the physical world is only one realm of experience. A life on earth is but a passing phase, lived on a plane that is not really the, quote, home of the human race. If the mind becomes too obsessed with things and possessions, there is a great likelihood that the truths of the spirit will be forgotten. For many souls, this is precisely what has occurred. Contrary to the bumper stickers, he who dies with the most toys does not win. Then, from the elder, to the dear lady and to her children, whom I truly love, I am not the only, but all who know the truth love you, because the truth remains in us and will be with us forever. How happy I was to find that some of your children live in the truth, just as the Father commanded us. And so I ask you, dear lady, let us all love one another. There is no new command I write you. It is the command which we have had from the beginning. This love I speak of means that we must live in obedience to God's commands. The command, as you have all heard from the beginning, is this: you must all live in love. Many deceivers have gone out over the world, men who do not declare that Jesus Christ came as a human being. Jesus Christ came as a human being, not a God. Such a person is a deceiver and the enemy of Christ. Watch yourselves, then, so that you will not lose what you have worked for, but will receive your reward in full. Anyone who does not stay with the teaching of Christ, but goes beyond it, does not have God. Whoever does stay with the teaching has both the Father and the Son. If anyone come to you, then, who does not bring this teaching, do not welcome him in your home. Do not even say, peace be with you, for anyone who wishes him peace becomes his partner in the evil things he does. At that time Jesus began to say, I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, and acknowledge openly and joyfully to your honor that you have hidden these things from the wise and clever and learned, and revealed them to babies, to the childish, untaught, and unskilled. That's Matthew 11:25. Here's Jehovah. My faithful translator/messenger, yours truly, who writes these words, is revealing the truth to all of you at this time. It is true that I have hidden many things from the wise and clever and learned until the time was right to reveal them to you, as you can see with this manuscript. In addition, my faithful messenger is not a man of the cloth, but is childish, untaught, and unskilled in the ways of the word, a true babe in an ecclesiastical sense. But who better to deliver my message than one with no preconceived notions. And I admit, I have no preconceived notions. I have never been trained in the Bible or anything else. He that saith he is in the light and hateth his brother is in darkness even until now. Hate can have no place in your world. That was from 1 John 2:9. But he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness hath blinded his eyes. That's John 2:11. Darkness is no place to be. You must all move into the light. On the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing, and he ceased on the seventh day from all the work he had done. Up here. Jehovah now, I brought light to replace the darkness. I am the light. It is your choice to move into it. You will never rest until you do. Now we're going to jump several pages. Then I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds from blowing, so that not a leaf rustled in the trees, and the ocean became smooth as glass. The nature of man is to be destructive. It wasn't always that way. There was a time on the earth when men were very loving and caring to all living creatures and to each other. They even treated their mother, the earth, with respect and admiration. But that benevolence began to disappear with the introduction of the veil of forgetfulness and the gift of death and rebirth. Did you hear that? Death is a gift, and rebirth is a gift. Man had become well acquainted with the physical and mental aspects of love. I had hoped that man would develop the emotional side of the love triangle in the process. Unfortunately, the negative emotions were developed to a greater degree than the positive ones. That puts us where we are today. So call to mind the lessons you received and heard. Continually lay them to heart and obey them and repent. In case you will not rouse yourselves and keep awake and watch, I will come upon you like a thief. Remember that word, thief. Not thief in the night, thief. And you will not know or suspect at what hour I will come. That was Revelation 3:3. We're now going to do Revelation 3:2 and 3:1. Now wake up, strengthen what little remains, for even what is left is at the point of death. Your deeds are far from right in the sight of God. I know your deeds. You have a reputation of being alive, but you are dead. Now we start Revelation 6:15, 14, and 13. Now notice we're going backwards in Revelation. The kings of the earth and world leaders and rich men and high-ranking military officers and all men great and small, slave and free, hid themselves in the caves and rocks of the mountains. Here's Jehovah. The great and the meek shall find no refuge on the earth. I am the only refuge. Seek my salvation. In fact, all that any of you have to know in the coming days is to remember these 3 simple words. I love God. And the sky rolled up like a scroll and vanished, and every mountain and island was dislodged from its place. What have we been talking about? That's coming on December 21st, 2012. We're going to have a massive flood, a 4-mile-high wall of water that will pick up every island and every mountain and dislodge them from their place. The sky rolled up like a scroll, and every mountain and island was dislodged from its place. Then the stars of the sky dropped to the earth like a fig tree, shedding its ripe fruit out of season when shaken by a strong wind. Stars are an illusion in your physical world, just are all other natural phenomenon illusions. I get a kick out of your scientists who are dumbfounded by the landscapes and boulders at some of the Apollo moon landing sites, which are identical to other moon landing sites, when they're supposed to be hundreds of miles apart. The landscapes and boulders are identical because I made them that way. I was just curious who was paying attention. A good example of my, we turn the page, sense of humor. The platypus is another example of my sense of humor. Plus, I knew you'd never go back to the moon to confirm or deny the impossibility of such a thing. So my devious little illusion could remain a mystery. But now it's time for you to know the truth about your world. You are but actors upon a stage. Your world is not real. It's all imaginary. Everything is scripted and produced for your benefit. But you have choices, one of my greatest gifts to mankind. You can either follow your script and act out your part as written, or you can exercise your free will and ad-lib something else. The choice is yours completely. But there are strings attached for exercising too much free will. Unfortunately, some of you might soon learn the consequences. You are on the earth to learn by experiencing a physical life, the most constructive and beneficial form of instruction in this universe. You are also on the earth to love and take care of one another. Your time off, when you're not appearing as actors on the earth, is spent in the, quote, real, unquote, world over here, where you live forever, which is a pretty long time. You have nothing to fear in your world. Your spirit and soul are eternal. You will never experience anything like actual death. You simply shed your human physical garment. Just ask people who've had a near-death experience and crossed over to this side for a short time. They love it here and don't want to go back to your world. That's because this side is your real home. But you signed a contract to act out your role on the earth, and you're expected to abide by its terms. You waited a long time for this part. You beat out many others who gladly would have played your role. So don't flub this opportunity. Get out there and keep singing and dancing. Enjoy the time you have left to its fullest. And the sooner the better, because time is short. Appreciate all this earth has to offer. It's one of my finest creations. We now go to page 36. I will be their God, and they will be my people. I will treat them with kindness, even though they are wicked. I will forget their sins. When he speaks of a new contract, he declares the first one obsolete, and what has become obsolete and has grown old is close to disappearing. Those are Hebrews 8:10 and Hebrews 8:12. Now Jehovah continues, when I say the old covenant is broken, I mean that the terms and conditions for your physical existence in the three-dimensional world have ended, and it's time for you all to leave. Your experience period is about to terminate on this physical form of the earth, and I'm bringing all of you home, hopefully. You've done a good job overall. There have been many bumps in the road, but you persevered, and I'm mighty proud of you. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You are a fine group of folks who have always pleased me with your compassion and energy, but your stick-to-itiveness is your high point. You are very persistent when you make up your minds to do something, and I'm impressed by that. But once again, it's time to go. So I'm looking forward to having you all back under my wing. It will be a quick transition for most of you, and you'll be glad to be home. You deserve a break after 10 million years of this world, your little corner of the universe. Have a safe and pleasant journey on the way back. Lovingly, your parent. P.S. Be sure to turn off the lights and check the stove. We have a God with a sense of humor. We now go to page 38, the appendix. Clarence Darrow, the caustic critic of Christianity, earned a reputation for being one of the most astute lawyers and militant agnostics of modern times. He seemed to enjoy the bizarre. He was the man who represented the infamous child murderers Loeb and Leopold, the struggling labor leader Eugene Debs, and a small-town schoolteacher accused of violating Tennessee's anti-abolition law. No doubt, Darrow succeeded as a brilliant barrister. He defended over 100 accused murderers and prevented the execution of every one. And now we go to page 39. In Clarence Darrow's view, Christianity is for children. Explaining the reason for his stand, he declared, I think that it is impossible for the human mind to believe in an object or thing unless it can form a mental picture of such an object or thing. Unquote. Therefore, Darrow saw the concept of God as silly because one cannot form a mental picture of God. He explained his lack of belief by stating, quote, I don't believe in God because I don't believe in Mother Goose, unquote. In that statement, he is reminiscent of the Greeks of Paul's day who called Christianity foolishness. And now we go to page 40. That leads us to an essential question. Is there a mature and sensible picture of God that can refute the charge of foolishness and put to rest the superficial ridicule of the Darrow-type skeptic? Can we present a picture of God that does not come over like a fairy tale? Christians do not believe in Mother Goose, but we do believe in someone. A problem surfaces when one attempts to describe God. John 1:18 states, quote, "No one has seen God at any time," unquote. That means God is not subject to empirical, which is sense perception, investigation. You cannot put God in a test tube and examine him. Quote, "God is spirit," unquote, according to John 4:24. In other words, God as spirit is vastly different from us, not just in degree, but in essential kind. In his essence, God defies human empirical, rational description. Nevertheless, mankind seems bent to try to explain him fully on these limited humanistic terms. Here's Jehovah. Well, let me take over at this point and explain myself in these limited humanistic terms. I'm simply here. I'm everything around you. I'm even you. This entire world is my creation and is from me. This may be hard for you to comprehend at this stage in your existence, but you are like tiny electronic components in a gigantic, loving, cosmic computer. You can see the circuits and chips around you, but you can't see the big picture. You know you have a part to play in the grand scheme of things, but you're just not sure what it is. It's like you can't see the forest through the trees. You can't find an empirical, rational description of me because you have no experience base to draw from. That's because you can't get far enough away from me in order to, quote, see the forest, unquote. So you're simply left with, quote, God is everything. That won't silence the skeptic, but then again, he's entitled to his own opinion. Appreciate his contrariness. That's what experiencing in this life is all about. Everyone gets to formulate their own ideas. But don't worry, the skeptic will find me in good time. In the case of the committed non-believer, all you can really do is make him aware of the three magic words. Quote, I love God. If you take nothing else from this program, remember the three magic words. I love God. I love God. He doesn't even need to believe in them at this time. Just have them in the back of his mind. Those three words will come in real handy when the time comes. They'll be his confirmed seat to eternity. But the problem lies in contacting him. It would be senselessly tragic to lose any members of your human life stream just because they've never heard about the magic words. So our goal is to spread the word about I love God. Don't evangelize. We're not trying to convert anyone to anything at this time. Those that already believe in any form of power or goodness outside of themselves already believe in me. Leave them alone. They'll be okay. Seek out the obstinate and defiant non-believers, the ones that think that this life is all there is. The ashes to ashes, dust to dust types. Don't preach to them. They don't want to hear it. It'd be like trying to teach a pig to sing. It's a waste of time, and it irritates the pig. Teaching a pig to sing is a waste of time, and it irritates the pig. That's from Jehovah. Just clue them in on the three magic words. Maybe treat it like a tip on the horse races. Instead of, quote, no place to go, unquote, in the fifth, tell them, quote, I love God, unquote, in the last. Make it humorous. You can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. You can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. So brandish my three simple words wherever you go. Don't try to convince the skeptic that I exist. That will be obvious in due time. And if you encounter a Clarence Darrow type personality, don't try to outwit him or convince him of anything. You can't. Just humor him and quietly plant I love God in the back of his mind for that special time to come. Good luck. As I said at the beginning, this booklet, the story, was passed out to the 335 members of the ruling party of the last great empire back in June of 2003. The ruling party at that time were the Republicans. The House of Representatives and the Senate were controlled by the Republican Party. George W. Bush was president, who was also Republican. So since they were the party in control, they were the ones that got this booklet called The Story. They also got a second booklet. Oh, this won't work. They got a second booklet called Letters to the United States of America. And this is a blue booklet that was passed out along with the first booklet. There's something else I need to explain. This program is a level 1 program. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt. I always promise that when I have on a Hawaiian shirt, it's a level 1 program, and I do not talk about God. But I have just read to you from a booklet that was passed out to Congress, authored by Lord Jehovah. America is a Judeo-Christian country. The Jews believe in Lord Jehovah. The Christians believe in Lord Jehovah. So then Lord Jehovah would be the highest deity of America. And I just read to you from a booklet by Lord Jehovah. And this booklet was given to all those members of Congress under the name of Lord Jehovah. There was even a cover letter that requested a meeting with all those members of Congress. Nothing came of that, pretty much what we expected. They ignored. But there's something else. Throughout history, more advanced civilizations have attempted to work with primitive societies by pretending to be that society's deity, to be their god. In 1778, British Royal Navy Captain James Cook pretended to be the Hawaiian deity Lono. In 2003, Galactic Federation Admiral Kimo Kuke pretended to be the American deity Lord Jehovah. When those primitive societies failed to cooperate, they then incurred the wrath of their God. America is about to incur the wrath of Jehovah. Now, for those of you with ears to hear, you should be able to figure out what that statement just meant. Captain Cook took advantage of the Hawaiians by pretending he was Lono, their deity. Admiral Kuke, in June of 2003, pretended to be Lord Jehovah. Admiral Kuke wanted a meeting with the ruling party of the last great empire. He wanted to talk to them before they started major operations in the Iraq War. 1 week before that, President George W. Bush had gone on board an aircraft carrier in San Diego Bay and declared mission accomplished. That was the last week of May 2003. The mission was not accomplished. The war continued for the next 9 years. It just ended New Year's Eve 2011. In the process, more than 4,000 Americans died, which is a tragedy, but at the same time, maybe more than 100,000 Iraqis died, and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Iraqis lost their homes and have been injured. That war was an immoral war and an unjustified war. America went to war with Iraq because Saddam had weapons of mass destruction and was part of 9/11. But we find out now those were all lies. This war was a war based on lies. It was an immoral war and an unjustified war. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people died in that war. And as everyone else in the world knows, that war was all about greed. It was all about oil. It had nothing to do with democracy. It had nothing to do with liberating the Iraqis. It was all about oil. Well, America thought that America was the only superpower, that there was nothing more powerful than America, and no one would challenge America's might. Maybe there is someone. more powerful than America. America is about to incur the wrath of Jehovah. Now, Jehovah is a loving, kind God. At the beginning of this document, you heard that Jehovah considered himself a loving and kind God. And he appealed to that ruling party back in 2003. But they did not cooperate. And when primitive societies do not cooperate, they incur wrath. And the time has come for the wrath of Jehovah to come down on the United States. In reality, it's the wrath of someone else, but that's up to you to figure out. So at this time, I'd like to wish you all aloha and ahui ho. Until next time, shaka.